But what exactly is that letting go? And so I'm just like curious to know, like in your words, like how do you let go?
Yeah. An ego doesn't know how to let go because it's letting go of itself. It doesn't want to let go of itself. Right? So that's why the message says, don't worry about letting go. All it says is worry about turning your attention onto yourself. That's the only job we have. And it seems like it can't be that. That can't be the answer. It can't be that that's exactly simple. It can't work like that. Again, this is because the ego can't understand, I should say that the finite ego, it can't understand what the infinite is, and therefore it says that can't be the answer.
I guess for someone like you who knows their home, I mean, was it a recognition and then it just stuck? Or do you follow yourself?
It can't be known. It's not something that's known. It's something that's experienced. And it's a unique experience. It's a non-objective experience. There's nothing that is added. There's no subject here and an object that I have an experience with. It's just the subject of myself experiencing itself. So it's the subject experiencing itself as the object, or you could also say it's the subject experiencing the subject. If that's being, right, being doesn't have to leave itself to grab something other than itself to then take that back into itself to know itself. It just is itself by being itself. So it's the subject experiencing itself as the object. And that's why the attention, the source of your attention, we can all agree that we have attention and we attend to all of these objects in life, which could both be mental and your body or any of your perception. But the source of the attention, it has a home. It comes from somewhere. Well, that's what you're just trying to turn this back on to itself. It's when attention attends to itself.
In fact, I find it fascinating, obviously. Anyway, the whole thing is so damn paradoxical.
So, let me... I'm possibly, you've been in this long enough, like 6 years, you've been in it quite a bit. This is where the ego has made this an identity for you.
Yeah.
Right? So it's really got super subtle and slippery on you, where it's now identified as somebody who's cool with getting rid of the ego.
Right.
And so with that information, you need to figure out ways, to sit with it, to contemplate it conceptually, right? And while you're inside, to see how to start chipping away at that. So yeah, it has to be an identity. It's identified with the guy that's cool with eliminating the ego. Because you could see how it can happen over time, right? Because if you don't come in direct enough at the beginning like within the first couple of years of this, you might how easy it could become an identification. It becomes a religion, or it's spirituality. It's something, and that's the thing about non-duality and Advaita, is that even in the end, it is eliminated as false knowledge. So I think what you've done is you've backed yourself into a very subtle place that you're going to have to spend time within trying to pick that apart. And again, it's kind of back to what I was saying earlier. No matter where you start, way out here or right here, you have to be able to let everything go, because you cannot discern between what should stay and what goes.
Has this way is you literally point back. You point your rays of attention back into where you think your head is. It's profound, but it's also like, so what?
Yeah.
That's what I struggle with.
So you're touching on it, yet you're stepping in and saying it doesn't have value. There's a super sleight of hand happening there. So when you say I turn my attention within and there's nothing there, it's peaceful, or it's nothing, it's calm, whatever words you put on it. And then there's this, but it doesn't have any value. It's nothing. That's it. That's the ego. That's the sleight of hand that you're experiencing, that's not allowing you to go in there. And instead of examining what you're looking back into and finding all of this peaceful stillness and absence of resistance and everything that you're wanting, you're continuing to identify with the ego that's saying that doesn't have value. So, what non-duality is saying is spend more time in that place of emptiness and check it out to see that no, this is all of the value.
But 20 minutes later, probably at the break, I'm sort of back to thinking, so what?
You're back to thinking.
Like I know. Yeah, I don't know how you...
You can't, Greg. You can't. You can't get it. You can't figure it out. You have to let that go.
Yeah, now I understand what you mean.
And you have to be direct with yourself. You can't know this. You can't know with your mind. You can't get it. And that's what you have to let go.
And what gives you confidence that I'm asking you this question, like, if you can't check your mind with this, how do you know? Is it just because it's just a pure direct experience? I mean, you know what I mean? There's no double check. There's no checks and balances. There's no way for you to know, which is obviously what I'm looking for. I want my mind to be like, oh, check. Yes, now I get it. Yeah. But if you're saying that's never going to happen.
No, you experience it directly. What remains is experienced. the presence of being is what remains. And in that presence is the stillness and the contentness that you're looking for. And so as that becomes more and more into your awareness, into your field of awareness, you experience that. That is the answer. The experience is the answer, and you don't know, you can't put that into words anymore.
Oh, okay. No, that actually makes sense. So it's okay. Yeah. Which
That's
is obviously
what you're looking for. Right? Because you're kind of giving up something something is happening, right? The something is you're giving up something, and something else has to come into play.
Yeah.
Well, if it's not my mind and I can't know it, what else is left? An experience of something. An experience of it. That's what you're.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you're looking for in self-inquiry.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe I'm dismissing it too quickly, but it's hard for me to imagine that spending more time there is going to because there's nothing there. Like, it's hard for me. That's we were hinting at this as we're talking. Like when I asked, well, how do you let go? And you were saying, I know it seems counterintuitive that, self-inquiry would lead to letting go. Anyway, I have trouble intellectually understanding how, turning within can somehow drop the thought, that obviously is springing up.
So right there's a good place to drop. You've said it in two different ways. You can imagine that it's the solution, and you're having troubles intellectually understanding it. You're right. You cannot imagine what self is, and you're right. You cannot intellectually know it. So drop those.
If you weren't an engineer, I'd be like, God, if you were an engineer, but it's like you are. And so it's like, I know you totally understand. It's so strange. It's like, I've never come across something of importance that you can't know with sort of traditional means or knowledge. There's no like textbook that, all I have to do is read 20 chapters and it's like, oh yeah. It's like an unlearning. I don't.
It is.
Still.
You're heading into a realm where you can't know anything. You can't know reality with your mind. You can only be it. You can only be it. You can only experience it for what it is, as it is. And that's what you're after, because that's what leads to this childlike wonder. You can't know anything, and therefore everything is brand new to you. It's like it's all brand new. This computer screen has some sort of a essence of I don't know it, I've never seen it before, and that is awe. Everything's new and has a piece of awness to it. Yet I can talk about the computer. I can work with the computer. But there's this doesn't, when it's honest with itself, it doesn't know what a computer is. You can't know what a computer is.
Well, that brings up an interesting point. So obviously I still have objections to this stuff. Like, there's no way for you to check, like you personally, if you can't go to your mind and check it, and I'm sure previously you trusted your mind, it's like how you got to where you are. So if there's no double check, there's no way to authenticate this, which is probably why it doesn't fly in our society. like, there's no way to know. There's no double check. Like, when you, I was trying to think when you were saying, like, I mean, if it's an unknowing, then there's no way to bring the mind in and say, I've got it. You know,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're eliminating your mind.
Like, this is an interesting question for you. Like, how do you know? like, isn't your brain like, well, shit, maybe I don't have it? You know, like, because it's beyond the mind. I mean, obviously we're bumping against the grand paradox again, but there's no way to double check it. So I'll go through my whole life and never be like, my mind will never know whether I've gotten it or not.
So let's go back to this example, right? So we're born this pure being, right? We're just pure awareness, and then over time we build this thing called an ego, right? And this is who we think we are, and this is who we actually are. We're so identified with this ego that we believe that everything that we truly are, which is this, it's all of our talents, all of our uniqueness is probably the better way to say it, is here in this beam of light. It's not in this ego. But we're so identified with this ego that we believe all of our talents hang out in this ego, in our egoic mind. So when we're afraid that when we slough this off, all this stuff that we've worked on our entire life is going to go with it. When it's all in here, it's all in here. It's all in the universal mind. The universal mind of being. So you could say we think we have two minds. When we talk, we have like, I have a mind. Okay, that's two. That means there's two of me somehow. There's an I who has a mind. You know, so there's the universal mind of awareness of our being, and that's really where all the uniqueness is. When this gets sloughed off, all of the talents are still here. The uniqueness is here. But we're just so identified with this blanket of ego that we think that egoic mind is what makes us who we are, and it's not. So yeah, I get when you say, oh my God, if my mind sloughs off, who's going to do the thinking? You know, who's gonna problem solve and create things, and there's no mind left. Well, that's the egoic mind gets sloughed off. All of the irritation and agitation and frustration and all of that we experience in life gets sloughed off. And all that remains is the universal mind of our unique being. Right? Because you're an engineer, you're identifying with your mind. That can be problematic. We're trained to do that.
Yeah.
And yet, everything that we learned in engineering and out in our careers isn't contained in this mind. It's here. This is just the crap you want to get rid of. This is the one that just says you're not doing life right. Like you're never quite content.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
just this like
that I have.
I gotta keep. It's even if it's just little things. Like I just need a little bit of that, and then I gotta go there and do this, and then I'm going to learn that, and it's all an attempt to find permanent happiness, which is only discovered in yourself. The permanence is here. It's not out in the world. So we're out in the world looking in a world of impermanence for what we know is permanent, which is only located in one place, which is ourselves.
Yeah. That concept of impermanence, it's just runs so deep for the concept. But yeah, it's that it is funny. I mean, yeah, it's you're grasping at sand. You know, if you're looking for permanent happiness or even just relative happiness or relative stability and objects that are notoriously that are just at their fundamental core impermanent.
Mm-hmm. But when we sit with ourselves, just even for a moment, you know, when you reflect back over your life, there's a lot of things are changing. Everything's changing, right?
Yeah.
Your body and your jobs and where you live, it's all changing. Except there's something that isn't changing. You're like, I've been this my whole life. What is this? That's yourself. That's self. And the moment you go and grab it with your mind, it disappears.
Yeah.
Self-inquiry is spanning the gap between your mind and experience, moving from concepts into a direct experience of those concepts. And an ego can't do that.
Oh.
That's why going within is so important. At least you'll expedite the process.